Le sommet international de l'éducation du futur réunit une soixantaine de conférenciers du monde entier. Des pionniers et des innovateurs issus du monde de l'éducation, bien évidemment, mais également des êtres inspirants, issus des chemins de sagesse ou des chemins d'apprentissage et de créativité dans différents domaines. Les arts, les sciences, l'économie, le lien avec la nature, le sport, etc. Des expériences et des chemins de vie qui sont un formidable enrichissement pour le monde de l'éducation. Le professionnalisme des traductions, en simultané, et l'incroyable richesse de toutes ces conférences offrent un horizon de point de vue vaste et varié, très complet, qui en font au final une véritable formation professionnelle pour les enseignants, les éducateurs et tous les professionnels de l'éducation, mais également une formation à la parentalité consciente et une formation individuelle à la vie consciente. Face à toute cette richesse et aux divers retours, nous avons décidé d'offrir toutes ces conférences à tous, partout dans le monde, en français et en anglais, quelquefois en allemand et en espagnol. Découvrez la vision d'acteurs audacieux et influents du changement, vers un monde éthique, solidaire, généreux et profondément respectueux de tous, des cultures, des peuples, des règnes et de la planète. Un incroyable panel de conférences, couvrant toutes les dimensions de l'éducation, pour un futur ayant du sens, une humanité épanouie et une terre qui respire. Une chose est sûre, votre vie, et à travers vous, celle des enfants, ne sera plus la même après avoir écouté toutes ces conférences. Pour avancer, nous avons besoin de vous, nous avons besoin de votre générosité solidaire. L'organisation du sommet et l'édition des conférences ont nécessité des milliers d'heures de travail et nécessitent encore beaucoup de temps et d'investissement. Nous faisons appel aux dons libres et spontanés pour compléter le financement du sommet et, si possible, continuer à l'enrichir de nouvelles conférences. Votre soutien est vraiment précieux et vital pour aller jusqu'au bout de cette aventure extraordinaire. Merci.
Okay, everything is ready. We can begin, Coco.
Wonderful. Hello, hello. So happy to welcome you, Nirmala Mehendale, to the big summit of Education for the Future, where we present like 50, 60 speakers all together, presenting their understandings, their experiences and their revelations about what is the education of the future. And you, Nirmala, you are one of the 26 NGOs working with the world movement, the big kindness movement. And you have your own NGO in Mumbai, and it's called Kindness United. And during these 1.5 hours that follow, you will tell us what is really kindness and what is needed on our earth right now, really in the hearts of the people to shift our world in a more kind place. So I will let you the word. Thank you so much for being with us. We're very, very delighted. Thank you, Nirmala.
So thank you, Coco, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you, Abel, and all the summit organizers. It is a pleasure to be here today and to share about something that I feel very passionately about. The word kindness, the topic is kindness, the power of the future. Right? And there are 3 words that I will speak about today. And those 3 words that I will stress about is kindness, power, and future. So my presentation is divided into these 3 parts, right? So we will start with the first part, is what is kindness. So I am going to share my screen so that we would be able to see the dictionary definition. And what I would say is sustainable kindness. So there is one kindness that I do in the moment, and I might do under a lot of stress. But to sustain kindness, it requires something that I think about daily, which is about a balance. So I cannot sustain kindness unless I look after myself first. And so, this definition, and all of us know, we have been in the pandemic, we've had COVID just behind us, and there has been so much of illness and sadness and strife, and people have suffered both physical and mental well being. And so I cannot be kind unless I have a cup which I have some water in it, and then I can pour and give it to you. But if my cup is empty, there is nothing for me to give to somebody. And so I keep emphasizing that this balance, because there is one side which is selflessness. I will do everything for others. I see so many mothers who do everything for everybody and they feel tired because nobody else helps. And that is not sustainable, because one day I will get angry, I will resent it, and I will not be able to be kind anymore. And so I'm making it in a very simplified way before I start explaining why this balance between the self and others. And when I say others, I also talk about the environment, because we talk about the planet, and I cannot even think about the planet unless I start first thinking of this balance and why it is important. So I will share the screen now, and then we would go systematically, and I will then be very happy to have question and answers so that I understand what the audience wants and what people want. And if people may agree or they may not agree, but we can jointly discuss and come to some kind of mutual agreement on what is kindness. So I would share. So everyone can see my screen now. So kindness is the power of the future is the title. And as I mentioned to you, there are the definition of kindness as per the dictionary, and any one of us who looks at the dictionary will see it is being generous, considerate, friendly, and be supportive. And this is the dictionary definition. And all of us agree to be kind is to be thinking of somebody else and to want to do something for somebody else. And it is a word that is not commonly used in many parts of the world. I hear the word peace and I hear the word love more than I hear the word kindness. And kindness is an action. I don't know how you feel unless you act. If you write me a letter or if you phone me because I am sad, then I know it's an action. And that is why the world needs more kindness, since the world needs people to act. We cannot think about kindness because it's not a thought, it's an action. It is a verb. And I use, and the entire team that I have been working with, use sustainable kindness. Now you see, I'm trying to say sustainable because sustainable is something that I can keep doing because it is possible without me becoming selfless and burning out and getting tired. And I like to give this example of the aeroplane. So when we go to an aeroplane and the oxygen level falls, they request us to first take the oxygen, because I need to have oxygen before I help other people, the children and the seniors. So my taking, and this is sustainable kindness, I cannot help many people if I am breathless because I don't have the oxygen. So I need to take that mask, and that is not selfish. That is because I want to help more people. And so sustainable kindness is I look after myself, as you see on the screen, the well-being of the self, the well-being of others and society, and the well-being of the environment. And as I said earlier, it is not possible to pour from an empty cup. And so I must, as a person who is thinking, must say, even the mobile today, we charge it, but we forget to charge ourselves. We forget to do things for ourselves. Like for me, I like taking a walk and I like listening to the birds because I live in a very, very busy city. And there's a lot of noise and a lot of traffic and a lot of people. So early morning, I go for a walk so that I am calm and I am little bit feeling good and I am ready to take the day. And that is why that's the well-being of myself. I'm not being selfish, but I know that I need to look after myself, and then I can come home and I have my family and I have my work and I'm feeling a little better. Now, the days that I don't feel okay, I should be able to tell somebody else to do my work because I know I'm not feeling okay. But that is the taking care of the self. We are also in India, especially planting a lot of trees. So we are doing work with the environment because we realize tomorrow's children need to have the fruit trees that we plant today. So when we plant today, we will ensure a better future. So this is quickly the definition. I go on to the next slide. So if you look at, I was trying to, work on the slide change and yeah. So I'm just trying to get it down and get that going. So the golden rule, and this is a confusion that people have, we usually say treat other people the way that you would like to be treated. And there's another rule which says treat people the way they would like to be treated. Now this, if you all of us think about it, is actually a paradox. Because there are times that I want to be treated in a particular way. So let's say a personal example that, let's say I would like my family to not put the television when I am working, right? And my family would like to watch the television because they would like, and we have, let's say, a smaller house. How do we reconcile this balance? And I find this is a very big challenge because it is about what I want and what you'd like to have. And I would like our audience to just think and reflect, because most of our conflicts and unkindness come because we find it difficult to look at treating others and treating yourself. And we will look at examples because even with the environment, right? If I go to a picnic and I want to just enjoy and I don't want to look after the environment while I'm enjoying, I put loud of music, I want to dance, there are other people in the park. I want to leave some garbage without collecting my garbage. So I say, hey, this is my park. I can do what I want. And on the other side, there are other people that are being affected. So, how do I just want everybody to give it a thought, because there are a lot of people in the world who believe the golden rule is best, and there are a lot of people who believe the platinum rule is best. And I say that between both these rules is kindness, because it means I have to pause and I have to think and I have to find a win win equation. And what is that win win? That's not easy. Where, I look at the greater good and I also look at myself. And so I ask, and I know there are many educators watching. So I ask myself this question and I ask everybody else this question: is this a life skill that can be taught? Can we teach this life skill? Is it teachable? And if you go to the next slide, I say this is a story of a farmer. We have all heard this story. It's a story of someone who gives his neighbors good seeds. And people say, why are you giving your neighbors good seeds? He says, if I don't share good quality seeds with them, the cross pollination will affect my crop. And so it's important, in the same analogy of kindness that I said, how do I look after myself and how I also look after and look at the greater good.
Nirmala, we
yes.
still have the same slide. It's still the kindness power of the future here.
Oh, I am moving my slide.
Can you maybe just take away like the share screen and then you put it on back again?
I would stop share and start again.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Coco, for telling me that.
Now it's better. Good. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I was talking about, this whole thing. I'll just go back quickly. We were on the first screen. The second is the definition of kindness. And sustainable kindness is balancing self-interest with the greater good. So I balance my interest and yours, and I spoke about the empty cup. The next is the golden rule. And I was saying, treat other people the way you want to be treated, or treat other people the way they want to be treated. And I said an example of me watching television in a small home and my family not wanting to watch, and how do we reconcile what would be best? How do we have a win-win? So if somebody says, I have an examination, then can I put it on silent, or can I find a way to look at your needs versus my needs? I also said, is this a life skill that can be taught? And we are coming to educators, and can the school and college and everywhere, can this be taught? Can people be given real examples where we understand dialogue and we understand conversation and we understand how to come, whenever possible, to a win-win solution? Because a win-win is an ideal solution. It's not easy, but can this be taught is the question I am raising. That's why I put a question mark. And a lot of people feel that we must teach kindness as a life skill. It's only then that we get people to start thinking about why is kindness a solution to our own well-being. Okay, then I mentioned about the neighbor's corn, and I said, when I give good seeds to my neighbors, I have pollination, cross-pollination, and my crops are healthier. So when people say, why are you sharing? I say I share because all of us will benefit. Yeah. So for example, when I give blood, whenever somebody needs blood, I know that there is a time if I need, I have a whole community of blood donors who will help. Right? So giving and receiving is a part of society. where we give and we receive and we all benefit, right? The power of kindness for peace and sustainability. So you mentioned about the World Kindness Movement. Now this is the 25 years and this is our logo. And we are going to launch the One Voice for Kindness. And the reason we are launching One Voice is because every one of us is talking about kindness in our own little small world. But we need a campaign where the whole world says, we want kindness. And the change will only come when many of us say in one voice, I want kindness. So, whether it is about the wars happening or whether it is about the environment and us not being concerned about it, it is about the family breaks down, whatever it is, I think if we all say we want kindness and we want to be nice to each other and we want to be nice to ourselves, and this campaign I'm very excited will launch very soon because this year is the 25th year. In September 97, there were 13 people who came together and formed the World Kindness Movement. They didn't know in 97, nobody was talking so much about kindness. But it was the small kindness movement in Japan and the Dr. Mori there who said it is what we need. And ever since the World Kindness Movement has been trying to talk about the importance of kindness for individuals, for society. And we are happy to say when we look at our campaign, what we want is communication. So what do we mean by communication? Unless everybody speaks about kindness, it will not become popular. I don't know how many parents say to their children that we need to be kind, right? So communication from the home to school to the office. I don't know how many corporates talk about kindness, right? How many corporates say this is our value mission statement and we need to be kind to not only our customers but also to the planet and also to all our employees and our vendors and suppliers and the entire family, right? So the communication, and what is the definition that we will all agree? As I said, I have been in the movement for a long time, and my workable definition is balance self with others. Balance your interests with the greater good. And I find when I talk about this definition, many people understand that, for example, if I am going in an Uber or a taxi and I am going to one direction, let's say, I'm going to the Eiffel Tower and I see somebody else who wants a lift, can I invite that person? And I am already going. All I have to do is smile and say, would you like to come? Because you also seem to be going in that. We don't go out of our way. It is very simple to include people. I am not going to the other side of Paris. I am going towards the Eiffel. And you can even get down on the way. Or if you have a big bag and if I don't have anything, I can come and ask you, I don't have any luggage. Could I help you if you want to? So this is about the communication, the wanting, the balance, the definition that you can do much as you are walking along, right? There is much that we can do without having to suffer. There is much that we can do. Reflect and pause. So in my definition, whenever I have become angry, and don't think I don't get angry, just because I run, I am a human being. And so I would get angry too, and I would be maybe sometimes unkind. But whenever that has happened, I have always realized it is because I haven't paused and I haven't looked at a different solution. Right? So I've just said, no, this is not tolerable. I don't agree with you. But I haven't said, let me think about it. What you're saying is something I don't agree, but let me think about it. Let us have a meeting again tomorrow. Whenever I have done that, I have been kind, because when I think and I become calmer, I am able to think of a better solution. And so I say, is kindness about, whenever possible, in an emergency, you cannot pause. If there's an attack and if there is something that's an emergency, we just run and we act and we follow direction. But in normal life, there is an ability to pause and to think. And you engage with the surroundings. Now, a lot of us would not like to engage with the surroundings, but unless I know my neighbor, and unless I know what is happening on my road, it's very difficult to be kind. Because otherwise, I just go home and I don't talk to anybody, I don't smile at anybody, and nobody knows what I do. And so, if I engage with people, then people will begin engaging with me. Like very recently, we had a case in Mumbai of this lady who was 83 who had fallen down in her house, and she was lying there for 8 hours and nobody knew. Right? Now, in Mumbai, we have a lot of apartment blocks. It's a big city. We don't have houses. But the person who was the security of the building, when he was going up to the terrace, he noticed that, the milk that she takes was still outside. And he noticed that something was wrong because he knew she lived alone. He immediately called all the neighbors. And they found out who had the key. They opened the door and they were able to save her because she was still alive, and they were able to take her to the hospital. Right? And so we have to engage with others so that other people know about us. Otherwise, they don't know about our lives. They don't know what is. And if we want other people to help us, we must try and engage with them, so that if required, we can help each other. In fact, the story did not end because the police came to the hospital because it was a senior citizen, and they didn't know if it was an accident. And when the police were taking out details about this lady, they found out that the next day was her birthday, because when they said date of birth, and the next morning the police came with a cake and they cut it and they celebrated, right? So there were so many people in this act of kindness. There was a person who noticed, there was a person who called the neighbors, there was the neighbors who went to the hospital, there was the hospital who acted immediately, and there was the police who realized that maybe they should keep in touch with her even when she goes home.
This is such a beautiful story. Thank you. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Coco. So it's such a chain. I'm trying to explain that it's a chain. It's a ripple effect, and we're all interconnected. I would like to say I want to live alone without engaging with people, but it is difficult because we are all interdependent. So as a baby, I'm dependent. As a teenager, I want to be independent. But as an adult, as I grow up and I think, I have to realize I am interdependent. And since you like the story, Coco, I'm going to tell you another story.
Yes, please.
So I always ask people this question. I don't know whether you have tea or coffee or whatever, but I will stick with tea because Indians love tea. So if I ask you, how many people were responsible for your morning cup of tea? And I repeat, you would say, what's the number would you say?
One, just me.
One. And somebody else who has a loving mother or grandmother might say, my mother made it. But do you know the real answer, Coco?
The one who creates the tea.
Yes, thousands of people. because the people in Assam and Sri Lanka and so many parts of the world grow tea. You have the farmers, and you have the people who bring the compost and the manure, and you have the people who cut the tea, and you have a whole industry who bring the tea. Then you have people who have milk in their tea, then you have the milk industry. And then you have some people who put sugar in their tea, and then they have the sugar industry. And there are some people who will drink in a cup, and you have people who make the cup. So I don't know, even one cup of tea you and I cannot drink without the help of thousands and thousands of people. And that is the humility that I have begun to realize is important. That I cannot do anything alone.
So
And
much.
once, and once I realized I can't do anything alone.
At the moment, there are so many people who would like to be autark. They say they want to be autark, live, just have their own vegetables growing. But at the end, it's what you say. They still need a car, a phone, other things, and to include this. So I think this is such an important point you bring there. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And, and I very jokingly, because I do training sessions, and I say, even if I die just now, I need people to take me away. Right? So, right from birth to death, you require other people in so many ways, right? And I'm always remember whenever there's an accident, and and I might be thinking, oh, I'm so kind, I'm a giver, I have given a donation, and I have helped so many people, and I think I'm a giver, right? And I'm not a receiver, I'm a giver, I'm always giving. But I cross the road, and in exactly 1 minute I am hit by another car. In one single second, Coco, I become the receiver. Because now I require people to take me to the hospital. I require somebody to give me blood. I require somebody to, an emergency, get the doctor and save me. I require people to phone my friend or family. I mean, so just now I said, oh, and I am very rich, and I'm very famous, and I am always giving. So giving and receiving is always happening. And we cannot only be a giver, and we cannot only be a receiver.
I also like the idea with the breathing. You breathe in and you breathe out. It's always in an absolutely constant balance. Yeah.
Yeah, very good example. Thank you for sharing that. Because that breath always reminds us about so many things, right? It reminds us about life, it reminds us about energy, it reminds us about balance. And I can have everything, but without breath, I am nothing. Thank you. The power of kindness lies in the collective, and that's the one voice for kindness. We're trying to tell everybody, and we'd love everybody on the show to join the campaign once it's launched, and to say, I believe in kindness, because we need lakhs of people across the world who want kindness, who come together and say, I believe in kindness. I think we need it, and there is a chance then maybe somebody will listen. Somebody who has the ability to understand that it's a mass movement, and that people of the world would like their brothers and sisters and everybody to live in peace and to help one another. So when it's a family, I'm giving very simple examples again. I live in a family, we were 6 people at one time. So we had a rule that we had to phone if we were not coming for dinner. And this rule was applicable to everybody, right? So we had a 85-year-old grandfather, and at that time you had my 10-year-old son. But both had to call, and I definitely had to call. Now the rule, anybody would say, why should I call? I'll just come and I'll eat. I'll put my food in the microwave. I will eat. But the reason we made the rule was because my 85-year-old in-laws used to be very worried when we came home late because Mumbai is a big city. So they wanted us to phone and say, "We are safe, please eat. Go ahead and eat." And that is all. They could eat very well once they heard our voice and said, "We are late today, don't worry, go ahead and have dinner." Now, the reason we made the rule was because we balanced our own self interest, but we looked at the group. That the group benefited. So, but this rule, Coco, will not work if only one person in the family follows it. This rule worked because 6 people followed it. And that is why, unless everybody believes in it and follows it, the more people follow it, the easier it is to build a culture of kindness. Because you're talking of a culture of kindness, right? And this is my own family example. About today, you have people who say, "I want to work from home." Somebody says, "I want a hybrid model." Some days I go to the office, some days I want to be at home. And some people say, "No, you must come to the office." How do we solve this? Unless the organization and the individuals communicate and find what is better for productivity and for well-being, because the organization is a for-profit group, so they have to look at productivity, but at the same time it is about the employee well-being. You see how difficult that is to balance. But if you have that, then you have a better culture, right? Environment, I spoke about tree planting, or I spoke about climate change. If I last 25 years, I've always carried a bag. I refuse to take plastic. It's gone into my head. I mean, I may forget the house keys, but I don't forget the bag, because it is my small way of saying I can do something. Let me save one bag. But imagine if many of us carry a cloth bag, right? And we
Carry a what?
a shopping bag.
Yes.
So we don't take the plastic. We carry our own bag. We can make a small difference, right? But if many of us decide, then we can all together make a change.
Can you just, Nirmala, tell us about Mumbai? I do believe that you don't have the plastic bags anymore in Mumbai, right?
So that's a good question. It was stopped and it has begun again.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So what happens is, unless you have the collective coming together, where the administration and everybody else very seriously looking. So a lot of people follow it because they got used to a habit. But I would say a lot of shops and a lot of big malls have all stopped plastic. They don't give it to you, or you have to buy it and you purchase it. So when you buy it, you think and you say, "Oh, why should I pay?" So many people start carrying their own bag, right? So that is happening in a lot of places, but I think we still have to improve. And we still, so whenever I go to the vegetable vendor, we have a lot of vegetable vendors on the road, and I ask the vendor, why do you give the bag sometimes instead of a brown? So he says the customer wants. And when I ask the customer, he says the vendor is giving it. So, I keep having, I cap this communication and I say somewhere we have to realize the damage it is doing, no? So I keep talking to people because I'm passionate about it. But I am hoping that one day this one voice will come together and we will all collaborate, because it is not about 10 or 100 or 1,000, it is about everybody believing that this is important. So thank you. So that is an example of family organization and for society at large. This Coco was the first logo of Kindness Unlimited in India.
Ah,
We don't have this logo anymore, but our founder,
nice.
he said we are always walking a tightrope. So this side is selfishness and that side is greed. And if I go this side, I become greedy. And if I say, oh, I'll do everything for everybody else, I will get tired and I will be burnt out. So kindness is a tightrope. I need to pause and I need to breathe and I need to reflect. And there's always the golden and the platinum rule. What do I want? What is best for others? And how do I communicate? And if I don't engage with people, I cannot communicate. I don't know what they're thinking. Right? And so communication helps. It does help when we want to do something for the greater good. So, one of the things I find, why do we have difference of opinions and we become unkind? Because very often we fail to recognize the emotion. There is a feeling. And I'll give you an example. Recently, in a housing society, there were two groups. So, one group said we must feed the dogs, the stray dogs, they don't belong to anybody. And another group felt we should not feed the dogs. So one group felt that the dogs need to be fed because they are suffering and there's not much food, and the other group felt that the dogs can be violent and they can harm their children. You see, there is a possibility of a dialogue if these two groups understood the feeling. This group feels passionately about empathy. The other group is feeling very strongly about the safety of the children. And they are talking and they're trying. In fact, they had to go right up to the police to solve their problem. Right? And then you had to have an intervention that how can we come to a viable solution? It is possible, but it takes time. Nobody has time today, no? We want a quick solution. So if I am powerful, I will shout and scream and make you agree to my point of view because I have more money or more power or whatever. But I'm not ready to understand your feelings and why you feel that way. And to me, this is a life skill if we start talking about it in school and in the family and acknowledge the role of feelings because we are human, maybe we can make a difference. And the one voice of kindness in the World Kindness Movement is talking about acknowledging that we are human, acknowledging that this is a very valuable thing for our own survival. And we go to the next.
So how did the two groups meet then?
The two groups had to go to the police station.
But was there a common agreement?
So there was a very good person who was in the police station. So it depends whether there was a kind person in the police station.
Okay, but there was like an agreement there. What was the agreement?
So
because
now the agreement was that there is a particular area of the building that you can feed the animals. You cannot make them go to the other area.
okay, good.
You will only feed the animals at a particular time.
Okay, good.
So they both, and the other group will realize that it is possible that the animals can harm the children and the children are scared, so they must be. And the most important, they decided to also, because they are stray dogs and they increase, to look at a sterilization program for the dogs.
Awesome, thank you.
So we go to the next. Charrette. I understand charrette is a French word.
La charrette, yes.
Charrette, and you know what it means?
Yeah, it's when you have the horses before, huh? And it's pulled by the horses.
So like the cart before the horse.
Yes.
So the English language has obviously taken this word in English, and it is usually used for what you said just now. How did the problem get solved? You asked me that question, a very important question, right? How do we solve complex problems? So I'm going to give the shaded procedure for a school, and the school is, let's say, looking at bullying. So let's say the topic is bullying. The school is having a problem with some children who are bullying others. So they form groups and they call parents, they call the teachers, the staff, the children, and they give them some questions to think about. What is bullying? Why is bullying helpful? Why is it not helpful? They gave them a lot of questions. They gave them topics. They told them to brainstorm. Then they came back to those topics and they moved them around and said, what is it that is coming out of this discussion? What can we do now? It's to solve this problem if the majority realize we must do something. And so you collate all the wisdom of the group and then you come out with a viable solution. And this is again a slow process, but it is a process that is kind because it involves the feelings of everybody. And it makes, so this is just one example, and you had asked the question that if you have a very good moderator who is very kind and understands in a school and in a family and can understand this collation and understand feelings, many problems could be solved in a kind manner, right? So we have, even if you look at global problems, I think we are unable to come together. Huge mega problems about the earth, about wars, about arms, about nuclear weapons. You take any problem, unless you come together and as one and seriously want to look at the pros and understand the feelings of the other, it's very difficult to come with a kind solution. But in families and in schools and with individuals, this is a great procedure to use.
So Nirmala, do
Mm.
you bring this into schools then
Yes.
like with your NGO, you bring it
Yes.
into schools, and how many
Yes.
schools are applying this?
So we have many schools, and I'll give you the links later, because even UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education and Peace in India is working very, very hard with thousands of schools to bring this training and this curriculum into the school system. And I am going to share with everybody the links, because you can go and learn how to be a compassionate leadership just by doing some of these courses. And these courses are free. They are available online. One of the courses is a 40-hour course for educators, because then you can take what you like about that course and you can bring it to your own school. And so that's the end of this, where I'm going to, and thank you again for asking, because the school system is the best system to start the curriculum of kindness.
Mm.
And I cannot teach my children unless as a teacher I am a compassionate teacher. And unless as a parent, and unless as a person who is the manager in an office understands and brings compassionate leadership into my being, it's very difficult for me to explain it, right? So I always tell people who are teaching it, first we got to work on ourselves. We've got to learn how to calm ourselves, and then it is very easy to then share this wonderful curriculum. Even the Dalai Lama has a course, and they are also a free course that's available. And UNESCO MGIP definitely has a free curriculum for anybody who's interested. Yeah. And now we come to the world. Why is kindness important for the sustainable development goals? We look at kindness as a very small thing. Oh, I gave you flowers. Very good. I gave you a teddy bear. I visited you. They're all random acts. They're acts that are very good. But look at it even from a global level. Unless you have compassionate leadership, poverty, hunger, health is not going to be solved in our lifetime. unless the leadership understands that we need to look at this core ingredient of balancing self with the others. You know, how will a society even want to confront poverty unless it is able to understand and help and support and without judging that poverty exists, what can I do about it? Right? When you build something, how do you say, is it what the people want? Right now, I'm also working on rainwater harvesting, where we collect water so that there's more water in the village. India is, some villages have a problem with water. So, why is it important that everybody who's in the leadership position understands that we must build these little places that can harvest the Indian monsoon and can build small little dams to save the water, right? You need somebody at all levels who can understand that this is a long term solution to problems. And so all are sustained. And UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi Institute has said that you will not be able to achieve these goals unless kindness becomes a core agenda in our life. Because you may build a fantastic school, you may build a fantastic structure. How do you sustain it without a leadership that is wanting to maintain it? You know, so the goals, all kinds of, whether it is about water, whether it is about climate, I have really begun to realize that compassionate leadership is the core of our success.
Of?
And we of succeeding in getting any of these goals, right? How do I get the goal when I am a greedy leader? I need to be compassionate, I need to build it. And maybe that's why I say we start with the school system, because unless people start seeing the benefit, not just the benefit to others but the benefit to themselves. I gave the example of the farmer and the corn. His farm is growing better because his neighbors have good quality corn. We must be able to see that we are all interconnected. We are all interdependent. And I think it is high time that we realize we are interdependent. I gave you the example of tea. I cannot get tea without hundreds of my brothers and sisters working to get me the tea. There's nothing that I can do alone. Even if I have to take the train, I need the people who work in the railway to get me to the station, right? And that humility, once that comes, that understanding that I do my part, you do your part, there's a chance that we would have these goals, right? So when people volunteer in Kindness Unlimited, we ask people to volunteer. When people volunteer, people say, why would I want to volunteer? But the person who volunteers also benefits. Right? I feel good, I feel peaceful. If I'm teaching maths, my maths becomes better because I taught another student. People think, oh, I'm just doing all this because I'm selfless. I really think volunteerism is a great start, and where schools have to encourage volunteerism, because you then realize that we are connected. And so kindness is a key ingredient, and the leadership to be trained in this value of balancing self-interest with the greater good. I personally feel the World Kindness Movement, Kindness Unlimited, all of us definitely feel that's the way the world will change. And we must start somewhere. And so I think the training and the curriculum is a very good start. And the free curriculum is the best start for schools to want to take it.
What is the free curriculum?
I will give you the link of where it is available.
Just before, Nirmala, we were talking about water, and there is a little problem sometimes in India with water. And I have a friend, his name is Sachin, and he actually has created a machine that takes the water out of the air. And it is already giving much water to schools and everywhere. I will put the link or something if I find something?
Sure,
I can.
sure. Definitely. Thank
Or
you.
I give it to you, I send it to you, and then you can use it for.
I will share it.
Yes.
Yeah. So water is, such an important commodity, and we can fight over water because without water we cannot live. It is like air, right? And so it's important that we understand that kindness must be a part of this very important resource which is not equally shared. So because I live in a city, I have enough of water, but I should be concerned about the people who don't get water. And if I can do something, then I should try and do something about it. Because we are all interconnected. And tomorrow, if I don't look at the water that is in the lakes or the rivers that are outside the city, my tap will run dry. So as long as I'm getting water in the tap, I'm very happy, and I can go and buy mineral water because I can afford it. But it all comes from somewhere, And and unless we all understand that if it stops at the source, then everybody will be affected. And so it's important that it is our problem. Otherwise, I say it is your problem. But your problem is also my problem, because we are connected. And that's the message that I'd like to give about why looking at this balance between me and you is a very important thought process to understand. Well, our future depends on our present actions. And so I said compassionate leadership with our kids and youth is the most viable option. Because then the next generation, if they keep understanding it as a life skill, what's in it for me? Why would I need to be kind, and why does it benefit me? It gives my well being, it gives me joy, it makes me part of a chain of interdependent people. I help people, I get helped, I feel, I'm contributing, there's a purpose. So if children can understand this purpose, I really think a better world is definitely possible, because they are the future, and all of us have a responsibility to bring this training into our schools.
Exactly. Nirmala, also, before you were showing the 17 points of the development, sustainable development, and I do believe that it's really important that the people get aware that many of these 163 countries that have signed it are not doing it, and that it is up to us, to the people from the countries, from the citizens, to actually put this into practice. And so because they said they want to do it, they must do it. So all of us, teachers, parents, we can go to communities and we can ask them to introduce this, because we have signed, these papers have been signed by all these countries. And but we see that that they don't do the job. The NGOs do it. You do it.
I agree. And that is why the goal number 17, Coco, is partnerships for the goals, right? And kindness is partnerships. Kindness is collaboration. I may not be able to do everything, but I can collaborate with many people, and together we can find a way, right? Because, for example, I may able to buy the tree, but you may have the land to plant it. Somebody else may have the labor to dig it, but we all together can do it. Everybody doesn't have to do everything. And
Yes.
that's why, and you look at peace and justice and strong institutions. It's number 16, right? It's so connected to whatever we've seen that unless it's the citizens who start demanding and asking questions and become engaged, many of us are disengaged citizens. We just don't feel we have to engage. And
they wait for the others to bring everything, right? Exactly. It's like we take the power back. We as the people, the citizens, we take the power back, and we know that we can be the change, and we need to be the change if we want this to happen. So we should not wait and put our lay back but be actively involved in this new earth birthing.
Yeah, because the earth belongs to you and me, and you are sitting in whichever part of the world, and I am sitting in a different part of the world, but both of us, our feet touch the same earth
And drink the same tea.
and drink the same tea. So we're all connected, and then you watch the moon and I watch the moon, but we all like to believe we are different. And so we are polarizing, and somebody says, I'm black, I'm white, I'm rich, I'm poor, I am educated, I'm not educated, I speak English, I don't speak English. Everybody is trying to say, but the time has come where we understand our commonality and our common bond.
Mhm. Thank you.
So, this is the leadership, and can this be taught? And there's a lot of research which says it can be taught, and that gives hope, because if you can learn how to build compassion and kindness from the time you are a child and understand the benefit to you. Most people, Coco, I talk to, think kindness is about benefiting others. They don't understand kindness is about benefiting yourself.
And the
Right?
others. Together.
And then it comes automatically, right?
Mhm.
But people only look at it as selfish. Every time I've gone and done something, I come back with a big smile because I'm happy and I feel joyful, right? Because I've done something good for somebody, right? And so it is a benefit to the self. And I think if more people see it, so today you are feeling lonely and I talk to you. Tomorrow I'm lonely and you talk to me. It's such a great thing, right? That we all are there and we understand that we need each other. And I think that is what we are becoming more selfish and self centered, but that will not get us to a kinder planet. And these are the courses that are available. Uh, I could even send them to you and you could send it, but it is there for anybody who sees it. The Dalai Lama Center has the courses. The UNESCO the Seek course is a course. Coursera. There are plenty of courses, Coco, that you do it on your own. They are self-directed. You do it at home, you do it, you do the homework, you pass it step by step. The Seek course takes 40 hours and you get a certificate from UNESCO. It's after you give the homework and they are sure you've gone through everything and you pass. So the good part is anybody in any part of the world can do this. There's a lot of homework, a lot of thinking that you have to do while you're doing the course. So building kinder brains, so we're looking at dopamine, we're looking at oxytocin, we're looking at serotonin, we're looking at endorphins. All this is helpful by looking after yourself and looking after others. Right? I go for a walk, I feel great, my endorphins are high. I go out and give someone a hug, a friend. We all missed it in COVID, but you feel great. If your oxytocin goes up. We are all human, and humans require this ability to know that someone cares.
Yeah, and it's the solution lies actually in this movement of kindness, definitely, because when we start to co-create with the others and not see what I don't like about the other, but what I do like about the other, and everybody starts to understand their talents, their gifts, and there's who they are, and then it will be easy to collaborate together. And what you said too, then walking in the same direction, because when we all walk in the same direction with this kindness, understanding each other, we definitely make a changement, which will not happen if we all continue to go only our own paths.
Yeah. And so, this whole thing of collaboration and is so important, right? And in my work, I realize I can't do anything alone, just impossible. I need at every step of the way, I need a partner, I need someone who supports. And the more I get more partners, the more work I can do. Because if I had to do something alone, I would be able to do this much. But if today you have given me an opportunity to speak, it's a huge opportunity. But I collaborate and I help, and you help me by giving me this opportunity. More people can listen to this, right?
Exactly.
And what you're doing is absolutely kind because you're creating this knowledge resource to be shared.
Absolutely. Each one who is listening to it feels something, brings it further, shares, and it goes like, like water drops, like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there were two things that people who read about kindness will realize. They will realize there's something called the random acts of kindness. That means I just do something. I see you, you are a heavily pregnant lady in the train and you're struggling, so I give you my seat. So it's a random act, it's not planned, right? But recently, a friend of mine brought me to this word which says about a deliberate act of kindness. Now, a deliberate act of kindness is a planned act of kindness. So you have the random acts and you have the deliberate acts. And the deliberate acts is I will plan and I will do this. I will go for a meeting and I will raise my voice and I will protest, or I will grow trees, or I will go to the hospital and visit somebody. These are all deliberate acts. And so I've realized you need both. You need the random acts and you need the deliberate acts.
Kindness everywhere. Do you, Nirmala, you have more pictures? Because otherwise I would say you come back to your, that we can see you back.
Yes. So this is the One Voice for Kindness that we are following. And these are the World Kindness Movement's handles, the worldkindnessmovement.org. We are also on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And when the campaign begins sometime next month, please follow us and please give us your voice and say, I say yes to kindness. And we will have many, many people in the world who say, I say yes to kindness. And together, we do not know what magic can happen.
Wonderful. We also have in France this wonderful woman, Sabine Devliéger, who talked yesterday. And Max, so you're already connected to them.
Yes.
And in the first,
No, I said I am here because of Sabine, because see, this is the connected world. She connected me to you, right? So we all need each other, and I am always grateful for connection. And I'm always, because again, as you very rightly said, nobody could do anything alone. One person connected, then Sabine connected me to Abel, and now I'm connected to you and connected to so many people, and I am always grateful.
This is so beautiful. I love what she does as well, because the first thing in the morning with the program she proposes, the first thing in the morning is that the children connect to a tree. And she always talks about the big brother. And because when they do this, they connect to their verticality and they come back in their own responsibility. And this is what they learn. And then they have this gesture at 11 every morning. They bring the hands on the heart and they let the doves of peace come up to the heart, and then they send it over the world. It's so beautiful, and already 500,000 people or the children in the world do this. So this creates an incredible kindness energy, right?
Yes, very much, very much, very much. Every action matters.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a habit, and every day if you do it, you start living it. And so, I think the Peace Trees movement is a great movement because trees remind us so much about kindness.
Absolutely. Thank you. Are there any yes?
Should I stop share?
Yes, please. Yeah, exactly. So if there is someone who has questions, please.
Yeah, you don't have to, people don't have to agree to with what I say. We can always discuss. So, does someone have a question about the definition? Is this also on right now? It's live on YouTube.
Yes, it is. So, Nirmala, how many people do you think in the world have you already touched with your movement? Altogether, the world movement of kindness.
Honestly, I really, I know that in the Indian movement we have more of a track because we do projects, right? So every time we do a project, there's a receiver and a giver, and there's millions of people who've been touched with our projects because there is also the observer, and I believe even the observer is touched because when he sees a kind act, he is touched. And so kindness is un- innumerable because there is the receiver, there are the givers, and there are the observers. And so I would even, not fathom the numbers are phenomenal. The point is they are not enough to create a tipping point. We need more numbers because when we look at the news, nobody is talking so much about the kind acts happening. But I know every day there are thousands of kind acts happening.
So many.
So there has to come a time where everybody is talking the same voice and the same language that become, I say it's cool to be kind. It needs to be cool to be kind. That, it's something that we all do because it's like drinking water. So we need far more people, and that is for sure, who will actively give their voice. A lot of kind people, Coco, are silent and they don't speak about their kindness, but they exist.
Definitely. Fortunately.
Fortunately, they exist. I still feel the world is about 80% good. And it's only the small percentage who gets a lot of the news. But I think the majority of the world is good. The majority wants peace. The majority wants to live as brothers and sisters peacefully. And that is the hope.
Yes. It is I just noticed I was for a long time in France now, and I noticed that there is a lot of it's like the culture of the country is like there is they have a wonderful language, and they have many words. And it's beautiful to listen to the French people. But I also feel that sometimes what is missing is like this heart opening. It's that the heart is open, and I think kindness really comes out of an open heart. It needs open hearts. And to do this step from education into jumping into an open heart, if you are used to a certain program, it's going for a jump into the heart. It's not something that we learn in school. And this is why it is so important to learn this from the beginning on, for the children, that they can feel this connection to the earth with the tree, or to the love, or to the heart they have, and feel this kindness that they really are. And then the school system and the program that we get, it's a learning, it's something on top of the kindness, but it's not something that we have to discover.
No. And if you see a small baby, a small baby is already tuned to kindness. So if another baby drops something, that baby will go and help. It is a natural instinct to be
Yes,
kind.
so much. And there were just a few messages. There are many handcrafters that are full of kindness, and they are doing tables for us. They are doing chairs and whatever. And it's true. They are in this movement.
Yeah, the artist.
Yeah, artists and also handicraft.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, you have just a
So yeah,
question.
so
If you
yes, so
can, I just will repeat it so because the people don't see it maybe. So
yeah.
Sabine is asking if you can respond of how kindness is being powerful and not weakness or dormant.
So the question is, it is powerful because it builds a connection, right? So when I think I'm a doormat because I have done something for you, and then, every time I do something for you and you don't do anything for me, then I feel you're using me either in the family or in the office or in the school. But it has a power because when you look at the balance that I'm talking about, I want to build connections, and the more connections I have because I am a giver, the more powerful I can get my goals, right? Because it becomes easier for me to achieve my goals, and that's the power of kindness. Because it takes a lot of courage, because it means that I go and I ask for help. That is also being kind, because I request help. I meet people who understand, like you said, if you have an artist and I support the artist or I help the artist, I build a whole ecosystem, and I can do far more with other people than I can do alone. And I think kindness is a connector. It
Mm.
connects me. It's a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have a bridge, and if I am a connector, my life becomes easy and I can do much, much more than I can do alone.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Karen is also saying that in schools there are like we developed at first in general the intellect. This is so crazy. And
Yes.
now the whole movement is about us to come from the heart and from this from yeah.
Yeah. But so I talk about three things that we need to become a whole human being. One is the head, of course, that is where everybody thinks the intellect is important. But the other two I ignore, which is the heart, and the other is the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because unless I work and I help and I serve, so I call it, the head, the hand, and the heart, the 3H.
Mm-hmm.
And if they come together, like suppose I plant a tree, I require the head, the heart, and the hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why schools curriculum is changing now, so that children experience it. It is not a theoretical, a bookish knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of schools, children visit hospitals, they help, they go, they help others, they do voluntary work because that involves the head, the heart, and the hand. I think volunteerism is a great example to make people kinder.
Absolutely. I love that with these three coming together. And in the middle is the heart, like your first image you had with the balancing. Mhm. Are there any other questions? Yeah, I think we are.
We're
Yeah,
done. Thank you for the
thank you.
opportunities. Say merci beaucoup to everybody.
Thank you so much when for all of you being present. And there is a question about when the campaign
Yeah,
starts.
so the campaign would be launched in the month of May. The committee has just started the preparation. So somewhere in the month of May is when we plan, because September 20th was the day the movement was established. So, at least 4 months before September, we are planning to kick off the campaign.
Wonderful. How can we see it? Where can we see it? Can you just put the link in there?
Yeah, so I had, said if you put the World Kindness Movement on Instagram, and should I put it in the chat?
Yes, it would be wonderful.
So
thank you.
This is our website, which
Thank
will
you.
also talk about the campaign, and the Instagram and the Facebook is also called the World Kindness Movement.
Wonderful.
And thank you everybody who came and listened. I think Nancy, thank you, Nancy. If there are any other questions to the organizers and you forward it to me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. And I hope it was okay for the translator. Who was the translator for you? It is Kelly. I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you so much for the translator. It's a direct translating, and it's something to be so much connected, to the words you're saying. Yeah, thank you so much. And Abel is back, our wonderful Abel.
It's Jessica and Brian who are translating.
Jessica and Brian. Thank you so much, Jessica and Brian. Thank you.
Thank you,
Kelly, the other computer while I record the conference is just a computer.
Okay. Yeah. And I say Abel is a chief of orchestra, like the dirigent. He is like handling all this together. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Abel. It was an awesome sharing with Nirmala about actually a big solution, maybe the biggest solution ever. If we all come into our hearts and act out of kindness, the world would definitely look otherwise than right now. And you said we all have it in us. We are these people. So it's just to us to dare to jump into, yes, we are kind, and we can shine, and we can be nice, and it's good for us and it's good for the others. Yes.
Thank you, Abel. It's wonderful. I how we met. It's part of the connection and part of the world. I would never know Abel before, a month before, and that's the beauty of kindness. I thank you, and I'm absolutely grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Nirmala.
Thank you very much, Nirmala, and thank you for all this kindness you put in the summit with you, and it's so beautiful.
Thank you. And a big hug to India.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you then.
Thank you.
And have all the best to the rest, and a lot of grateful. I know how difficult it is to organize this. So I know the summit is coming with a lot of love and a lot of collaboration. And it is a kind summit.
And it will go on after. I don't know how but
it's growing. It's a kind summit. It's a one-of-a-kind summit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Bye-bye, Nirmala. All the best.